Hello everyone and welcome to Luminar Coffee Break. I'm Angela Andrieux, Product Evangelist for Skylum Software, and today I want to show you how to create a vintage looking travel postcard using Luminar AI. Let me switch my screen and we'll get started. So up on the screen I have an image that I captured a few weeks ago when I was traveling. I was out with my husband, who's not a photographer, and taking photos. There's only so much the non-photographer family and friends are willing to tolerate when you're out and about. So you just grab a few snapshots, something to remember the moment by. And it might not be a tremendous piece of artwork, but at least you had fun capturing it. So what I wanted to do with this image was make a vintage style postcard. Let me show you the original image here. There's the before. And it was, it's an okay snapshot, but it was middle of the day, just really not that exciting. So I decided to make it like a postcard. And postcards are fun because it's something we just don't do much anymore. It used to be when I was a kid, we'd go on our family vacations, and almost every place we'd stop, we'd go into the little gift shop, we'd pick up a postcard, and we'd send them to our grandparents or whoever else. And getting those things when other family members were traveling was also fun too. So if you want to revive this practice digitally, creating a digital postcard like this can be something fun to go ahead and email out to your friends and family, or you could even get it printed and kind of revive that keeping in touch, wish you were here vibe of being out on vacation. I want to take a moment here and say hello to Julie, Pat, and Joseph. Thank you so much for joining me today. All right, let me show you how I did this. I'm going to begin by resetting my image here. I'm going to go to Adjustments and revert this to the original. And that's going to take me back to my completely unedited image. Now we're going to start by going right over to the Edit tab and into Enhance AI. And Enhance AI is great because this is like our auto setting, but it's in a slider version. Instead of having a button to click and get an auto adjustment, we have Accent AI, which does kind of the same thing. It improves color, tone, detail, contrast, all those good things. So I can actually pull this up quite a bit, and just that alone makes this image better. So here's the before and the after. All right, from that, let's go down to our light tool. And I do want to adjust my white balance here. I'm going to choose daylight, and that just makes a really subtle adjustment, but I want to still keep some of the warmth of the day. So that's where I'm going to go down to my landscape tool and add a little bit of golden hour. It's just going to bring in a little bit of warm glow right across the rock and just kind of make the day feel a little bit more like a summer holiday look. All right, so now that we've made a few adjustments to this image, it does look better. One thing I might do is it does feel like it's maybe a little bit crooked. We'll go up to our Composition AI. I'm just going to click our automatic perspective here to straighten that image and take a look at it and make sure that the computer got it right. And I think that actually looks pretty good. I'll hit return on my keyboard. Now we can have some fun and make this into our vintage postcard. The first thing I want to do is go over to my local masking, and we're going to add that border. And I don't know about you, but what I remember in buying old paper postcards or receiving them was they often had that kind of torn edge look. So I want to mimic that by adding a digital border to this image. So I'm going to go to Add, Texture, and I'm going to then choose Load Texture and search my computer for a texture that I think will work well. So here in my Pictures folder, I have, let's see here. Let me go ahead and scroll up here. I have my Sky Texture LUT folder. Under Borders and Textures, let's see here. I have Paper Texture Kit. Now the textures that I'm using today, you can find and download these in the description section of this video for today. So all of the resources that I'm using, you have access to. I'm going to go to this paper PNG, and I like PNGs for textures because they oftentimes have transparent areas, which saves me having to mask. I'm going to go down to, let's see here, Edges to White, get a little preview of it here, and that's exactly what I want. It has that nice torn edge, and I'm going to go ahead and apply that to my image by clicking Open. We'll give that a moment to load, and while that comes in, it's worth noting that when you first bring in a texture, it's going to be at opacity 50, which means it's going to be not quite as pronounced as you might want it to be. So once that loads, we'll move that opacity slider all the way up to 50 and get that full effect. And because this is a PNG with transparency, we already have the cutout here in the middle of our image. Now I'd like to adjust it. We can see that the placement of that cutout isn't quite right. So I'm going to click on Place Texture, and you can see from the bounding box where that texture is located. What I'm going to do is actually zoom out to 25%, and now I can see my entire picture and where that box is located. So I'm going to bring this in until it really fits my image, and I'm going to rotate this a little bit because I want it to fit just right. Now the line here across the top is a little bit more straight. The one on the bottom here is a little bit angled, and to me that almost makes the whole image feel tilted. So I'm actually going to swap this around by clicking this flip button, and that's going to change my top border and my bottom border. I don't mind so much that the top one is a little bit off, but the bottom one, because it feels like it's anchoring the horizon, I wanted to make sure that one was reasonably close to straight. So I can rotate that a little bit, and I'm going to pull these out close to the edge. Because like a torn edge on a paper postcard, you're really only going to be affecting that very edge, and that's the impression I'm trying to give here. So pull that out a little farther. That's a little too far. And maybe adjust this bottom one here a little bit. And you can always rotate this as well. So if you wanted to rotate and adjust the rotation, just move your mouse outside of the bounding box. It gets that double-headed arrow. And then you can move that, click and hold to drag, and you can rotate that back and forth. So I think that looks pretty good. I like my torn edges. I might even pull this side out a little farther and adjust that rotation a tiny bit more. You can get in here and you can be very, very detailed or not, totally up to you. And then I'll hit return on my keyboard to go ahead and commit that particular placement. All right, now that we have our torn edge border, I kind of feel like I want to add a wish you were there sentiment. So I created a PNG file for you guys. You can download it in the comments section. So I'm going to go up to Add Texture, let this load up, and we're going to go click on Load Texture once more. This time I have it on my desktop and in some assets I have here for Coffee Break, and it's called wishyouwerehere.png. And it's white text on a transparent background. So I can go ahead and click Open and pop that right in there. And there's my Wish You Were Here. Now again, the opacity is defaulted to 50, so I'm going to bring that up to 100. And I'm going to actually, for now, I'm going to zoom back to fit to screen and click on Place Texture. And you'll see that we have our bounding box again, and we need to move this around to go ahead and place this. So I'm going to grab that outer corner and scale this down quite a bit. There we go. And then I can move it around and place it wherever I want in the image. And I think down here in the bottom left feels good. I might even grab that corner and rotate it a little bit. Again, I'm going for that vintage postcard feel. It's just a little cheesy, a little bit, I don't know, it has that kind of nostalgic, fun look to it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return on my keyboard to go ahead and commit that crop. And now I have created my vintage postcard. There's one thing we could do to take this up a step further is because this was kind of a bland, boring day, the sky is a little bit bland and boring. If you wanted to, you can also go back over to your tools and go down to your sky and add in a little bit of visual interest. You could even go to augmented sky and add in just some individual clouds. Let's try that. I didn't try that earlier, and sometimes it's fun to just experiment. So let's go ahead and grab these clouds here. We're gonna go ahead and pop those in, and it's just gonna add a little bit of visual interest to the sky. So now that we've done that, we can go into our advanced settings, maybe defocus this a little bit and relight it a little. Just kind of adjust it so it looks natural. Pull back on the amount a tiny bit. That's going to decrease the opacity of it. And we can even place those clouds if we want to. So I've placed my object. I can pull them over here and just make it so it's a little bit more off the edge. Maybe even make them bigger if I wanted to. So big puffy clouds. So you can do all sorts of things to make this rather bland and boring snapshot into something that would be fun to send to a family member while you're traveling. So let's take a look again at the before and the after. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's just a fun creation, something to do, and I think reviving that sense of correspondence while you're traveling with friends and family, something a little bit more personal than just posting something on social media. I mean, you certainly could export this, post that on social media as well. That's fun. But to be able to send these types of things, even via email, to a friend or family member while you're traveling, and let them know that you miss them, that you wish that they were there to have that experience with you. It's just a fun personal touch. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us a thumbs up here on YouTube. That's always appreciated. And I will be back with you again on Thursday. Vanelli will be with you tomorrow. And I think that's it for today. So we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.